welcome to this episode of Let's Talk 716 Sports. Today, my special guest is Nate Oliver, the GM of the Buffalo Beauts, and we'll be talking some women's hockey.
Thanks for having me, Robby. I'm really happy to be here today.
How was the season for the Beauts this year?
It was definitely a challenging one because of the pandemic and because of COVID. We didn't have a traditional NWHL season, which was tough for us, tough for our fans, tough for our players, especially. It took an extra level of commitment that they gave of their own hearts and their own accord, but it was something that as things moved along, we managed and we got through it, though it wasn't an ideal situation, but I think it pulled us together. So we did a bubble season in Lake Placid, New York. We ended up playing 6 games there, and the bubble itself ended up getting closed down because of COVID, which was very unfortunate. Thankfully, about a month or so later, um, the league was able to complete the season by having the playoff portion of it in Boston. Um, but unfortunately, with the way that the standings panned out and where the Buttes fell in the standings, we did not make the playoff portion of it. Definitely disappointing in that regard, but it's time to move on and just be prepared for this upcoming season.
Who was like the most improved player on your team this year?
Most improved. That is a tough question. Um, I don't know if I can pinpoint one player per se, but I can certainly highlight a couple that I think improved in multiple ways. So the first player I'll talk about is Lenka Chermova, and some people might say, well, that seems strange. Why would you pick Lanka? She was an all-star 2 seasons ago, and scored the Buttes' first goal of the season in 2019-20, and she just had herself a very good, solid rookie season in the NWHL. Why would you pick her? And the reason being was I think in Lake Placid, with some of the finest hockey that Lanka has ever played for us. In retrospect, she now has 2 seasons under her belt. She's still a very young player. She's only 23. Probably has the best years of her hockey career still in front of her. I could easily see her entering, if she's entering her prime now, she's probably, the sky's the limit into seeing her at her very best. And that's really exciting. And it was just great to see her out there. We were playing, I think it was our game against Toronto. We played the Toronto Six, who was the newest team in the league, and she cut through the two face-off circles coming over the blue line against Toronto and made this beautiful spinorama move, and was able to she did the spinorama and was able to get the puck fired off the back of her stick into the front of the net. And Audie McDougall, who's another one of who was a rookie for us this past season, one of our top scorers, was able to put it home. But Lenka just really impressed me with the way that she played in Lake Placid. I think she took it to another level. I would say another player that I'd like to mention, who it's again, people might say maybe it's funny that I'm mentioning this because she was a rookie, was Whitney Dove. So it's not like I could compare her to another season in the league, but I can look at how well she did just in Lake Placid. I think she has my vote for really the player that gave it her all and was our hardest worker in Lake Placid. And not that that surprised me really, because that's just Whitney. I mean, she just hustles her butt off every single shift. But I never really had seen her in person that up close in action before. Certainly seen her games. I've seen video of her games on the internet when she played her college hockey at Providence. I watched her in practice all for the months leading up to Lake Placid and seeing her in practice each week. But it was really different seeing her in a game, an actual game, a real game setting. Just how hard she works and how much she hustles and how much drive and determination she has. I think if you had to pick an unsung hero of Lake Placid, she very well might be the player that would be most deserving of that award.
What was it like being in uh, Lake Placid in the bubble?
So that was exciting in itself too. You figure, I've been around a while, but that was my very first time in Lake Placid, and it's a beautiful place. It's absolutely beautiful. We weren't able to explore too much because it was a bubble, and for the most part, we were kind of behind closed doors and separate from the public and everything like that. But the bus rides and the little bit that we were able to get outside. It's just a beautiful place as it is, and it seemed to be snowing every single day, but it just added to the beauty of it and just how gorgeous everything was there. It certainly just made it so scenic. So that part of it was really cool. But then you think about when you're actually at the rink. And of course, we played on the Miracle on Ice rink where the 1980 Olympics were held and where Team USA defeated the Soviet Union. We watched the movie Miracle on our bus ride down to Lake Placid. So that was certainly a lot of fun as well too, and kind of set the stage for just enjoying ourselves there. And I think in terms of the pageantry that we saw and the production that the league put on, it was fantastic. The music, the light show, everything that was broadcast on Twitch and on the televised portion of it. Um, Being in the locker rooms that the 1980 teams were housed in. I think our locker room, if I remember correctly, was the one that Team Finland was in during the 1980 Olympics, and it was just really cool to see that and recognize the historical aspects of the rink and the building that we were playing in, and that was certainly something that the players understood and appreciated as well too. They understood and recognized just the historical aspects of it. That here we are in one of hockey's most hallowed rinks, and even our players that except for maybe one player on the team, most of our players weren't even born in the 1980s, and certainly not old enough to recall the Miracle on Ice. But and more than half the team wasn't even American. We have two Slovakian players. We had 11 Canadians on the team this past season. So more than half the team was not even born in the USA, but they've all seen the movie Miracle. They all recognize the significance of it. Not only what it meant in the political climate of the time in 1980, but what it meant for hockey in general. And if you look at those 1980 Olympics, it's fascinating to see how many players that were in there did end up coming to the NHL, and played in North America, no matter where they may have been from. So you take all of that together, the beauty of Lake Placid itself and the amazing and rink, the amazing and storied rink that we're playing in. You combine it all together, and it was a very unique experience. It was sad, as I said, that COVID and the pandemic ended up cutting things short. But just being there, I think, is something that in the years down the line, all of our players and all of our staff, they're not going to forget being there, no matter what the outcome of it was.
What was it like having um Jordan back on the team this year?
Jordan Jordyn, it's funny. I've said this a few times, but it's the honest truth is that she was really the glue of our hockey club. She was what brought it all together and kept the players tightly knit, kept them loose, kept them having fun. She was the right ingredient in terms of what we needed for the culture within the locker room. And obviously, I've known Jordan for quite a while. I've known her for the 2 seasons that she played prior. So she was part of the team in the 2017-18 season. She was on the team in 2018-19. She played for Boston in the 2019-20 season, so 2 seasons ago, and then she obviously returned to us for being in Lake Placid. And we had talked this past summer, quite early on, and kept in touch throughout the summer. She's had a lot of health concerns. She had some really severe injuries. She'd broken her back her last season playing in Buffalo, and there was a lot that she was just trying to recover from. So I said to her, "Look, no rush, or don't feel pressured to sign up and join the team or anything like that. I want you to do what's best for you. But once you start feeling better, and once you are in a place where you think you'd like to get out on the ice, just let me know, and I'd love to have you come out for practice and skate with the team." And when we got to around September, October-ish, we were still having a problem getting all of our Canadian players over the border. Again, because of it was just another one of the challenges that COVID created. So we were practicing on both sides of the border at one point. We had practices in Canada and we had practices in the US side. And on both sides, we were pretty short on players. Um, so Wheels, Chris and Lewicki, who had played with Jordan during the 2017-18 season, they were both rookies together. Wheels had reached out to Jordan and said, "Hey, we're short on players at practice. How about you come out and skate with us?" So I would say right from that very first practice, she set the standard for the team's interaction with one another. She got them talking out there. Our first few practices, it was so quiet. I think everybody was a little timid, a little nervous. I think mainly because we had so many rookies on the team. So they were like anything else when you're new to something. They just weren't sure of what to expect. So they're very quiet and reserved and maybe a little unsure of themselves. But you get Jordan there, and she got them speaking, got them talking to each other, got them laughing and smiling and starting to have fun. And I could see, just it was fun for me to observe as a general manager, just being on the sidelines during practice and seeing the players like stand alongside her, or kind of um take a stance during while they were listening to instructions, similarly to how Jordan would. They were almost, some of them, the younger ones, were maybe replicating her a little bit. So that was really cool to see. So it didn't take long from my end of it, and talking with the coaches end, like, no, we need to get her signed. We need to get her as part of this team. And she ended up being one of our captains in Lake Placid, which was great because she's a heart of gold. She is one of the biggest hearts out of any of the players that I've ever worked with. She's vocal. She's played again with and against some of the best players in the world, and I'm going back to her time in college, and even in her youth days, and of course at the professional level as well too. So she's kind of done it all. She's seen and done it all. She's gone through all the trials and tribulations, and I think her leadership was paramount for us while we were in Lake Placid, keeping the players loose, keeping them tightly knit, and just feeling good about themselves. No matter what the outcome was, I think that's one thing that's pretty much all of our players said to a T after Lake Placid had ended, was it's the most fun they ever had together with the team. We did have a lot of fun, and got very close with one another, and it was enjoyable for me as a general manager to see that amongst our players on the bench, just seeing them living in the moment and just enjoying themselves, enjoying playing hockey, and enjoying being Buffalo Beauts.
How many rookies did you have on your team this year?
Oh gosh, I'd have to I'd have to actually sit and count them all, but we had a lot. I would say it was about a 50% turnover between the season prior and so between the 2019-20 Butte season and then this past season, we had about a 50% turnover. But if I'm going to pinpoint our rookies, so two of them were goaltenders. In Carly Jackson, who was our first round draft pick in the 2009 sorry 2020 draft. We took her out of the University of Maine, and she made the jump to playing with us and playing pro. And then our backup goaltender in Lake Placid, Katie Flagg, was another rookie. She was the second youngest player on our team. Got into a little bit of action while we were in Lake Placid to back up Carly. And Katie, the two of them are just fantastic. All three of our goalies are, when you throw in Kelsey Newman as well too, who's more a veteran. But you would ask me about rookies, and I was very proud of the three goaltenders that we put together, but two of them were rookies. So then we look at our defense, and we had Allison Matteau, who, even though she'd been out of college for at least a year, she played her collegiate career at University of Maine. This was her first year playing pro. So we had Allison Matteau, we had Whitney Dove, who I mentioned earlier. Both of them rookies, getting into the mix of things. And then, if I move up front, we had Nev Van Pelt and Brittany Colton. So I think right now I'm up to five. Hunter Accursi, Autumn McDougall. So we're at 7, 8. I'm maybe forgetting somebody in there, and you're putting me on the spot, Robby. So I gotta try to remember them all. But no, I'm just teasing you. But my point in mentioning all of those players is that, and I think I named all of them. That were playing in Lake Placid, is that we did have a very young team, and I think that was one of the things that led us to have the most fun, because in many ways there's no pressure on us, right? I think we had a plan that we wanted to build from the crease on out, and we did that by adding a top-notch goalie in Carly Jackson, who has pretty much all of the University of Maine's goaltending records. And we really built a very solid defense, combined with the veteran blue liners that we brought back as well. And we added some additional final ingredients for the season, at least up front amongst our forwards. So from there, you build, and I like the concept of that, where we're building something here. It's not a rent a player scenario. We're not bringing in some high flying sniper to put in on the roster. I believe that we have players with those types of capabilities, but they're growing in their positions, and we did have a lot of rookies, but that's something that is only going to behoove us and be better for us later on down the line, including heading into this upcoming season, is that they have a year of hockey under their belts, in a very tumultuous and trying year. So they learned a lot from that adversity. And I was saying to our coaches, because you may have seen, we solidified, or just about solidified, our coaching staff for the upcoming season. We made some new hires there as well too. But I was saying to our coaches that last season, for me at least, was about setting the culture for the team, and I really feel that we did that, and we've continued to foster that culture. This coming season is about polishing that culture, continuing the professionalism, but shining it up, and adding that layer of polish that really will just make us look sharp, and fine tune the team. And I'm very excited about it.
When is the draft for the next season's league?
Sure. So it's looking like it's going to be at the end of June. It's coming up. It's still a ways off, but that's what we're gearing towards. Is going to be towards the end of June. No set date yet, and I would say that that could be subject to change as well too. So no official word on that yet, but that's what it's looking like it's going to be. That'll be exciting. I'm particularly excited about it because this will be my first draft as the team's GM. I came on last year. I came on after the draft had already taken place. If there's a part of me that is maybe a little bit giddy, like a young boy or something like that, or a teenage boy that's excited to play fantasy hockey or fantasy football or something like that because it's fun, right? There's certainly an element of fun to it, and I think the fans get into it as well too. I know that the hockey writers and the media get into it as well too, trying to pinpoint, well, who's going to get drafted, who's available, who will go first overall, who are the Buttes going to take. I know our fans are especially excited about that and seeing where it goes. What adds a layer of difficulty to some extent, but makes it maybe even a bit more interesting. So I won't say that it's difficult in a bad way. I think it just adds a layer of interest to it. Is that um, because of COVID and because of the pandemic, NCAA sports, which is obviously the governing body in the US for collegiate sports, and U Sports in Canada, which is Canada's version of the NCAA, they gave all of their athletes, not just for hockey, but all of their athletes, an extra year of eligibility to maintain their college eligibility. So a lot of the players that would have been available to be drafted this time around will not be because they've opted to do the extra year of college or university. Um, but that doesn't mean that there aren't really good players out there that are available, and that's who the coaches and our Buttes coaches and I have been zeroing in on is determining what players there are that are available that would best benefit us, and would fit well with that culture that I mentioned before, and the structure of the team that we're trying to build. As I said, we built from the crease on outward, so I feel pretty confident, quite confident actually in our goaltending. Um, but if we feel confident in that and that we have the goaltending established, it's just branching outward from there. And I think we'll mostly be focusing on defense and forwards for this draft. But it's going to require all the GMs for each of the league's teams and all the coaching staff to do a bit more legwork and a bit more scouting, than maybe what they've had to do in previous seasons, because there won't be as many seniors out there. But they are in fact there. There are ones that they finish up their 4-year degree and they're ready to turn pro. They want to turn pro and play. So it's just a matter of pinpointing those and just being best prepared for the draft. And again, like I said, I don't want to overthink it. I think it's something that is actually really fun and really exciting. The thing that I like the most about the draft is the pageantry of it, because it's a celebration, right? It's a celebration for these players to put them in the spotlight, and acknowledge their 4 years, maybe in some instances 5 years, of really hard work at the college level for hockey. And it's exciting too because it adds new blood and new youth to our team. So I'm very excited about it.
Who is your head coach of the Buttes?
So our head coach for this coming season is Ria Code. Ria is a phenomenal person. I feel very privileged and very honored that I'll get to work with her this closely this season. She and I have very similar mindsets. We're very much on the same page with our thoughts on culture and what we expect for this team and how we want to sculpt it. Ria was 2 seasons ago was our assistant coach. And then this past season in Lake Placid, she was our associate head coach. So we've been grooming her for this position for a while, and it's an opportunity that she deserves. In addition to coaching for the Beauts, she's also coached for Nazareth College, which has one of the best Division III programs in NCAA hockey, women's hockey right now. She's been with them since their inaugural season as their assistant coach, and she's looking to make, or she is making the move from Nazareth, coaching at Nazareth, to coaching the Beauts full time. So that's very exciting for Rhea in that regard. She's also somebody that, she's young, so I think people underestimate her in that regard. Which, if I was her, and I know this is kind of the case, use it to your advantage. If somebody's gonna underestimate you for something silly like that, your age, let them, and show them that they're wrong. So it's a great opportunity for Rhea. I'm very proud of her. I'm excited to work with her. She's a multi-sport athlete herself. When she was in college, she played hockey, golf, and softball, and she excelled at all three of those sports. So it's a great opportunity to see how far that she's come. She's a natural leader, and I think she's a natural coach. She's not somebody that has had to work at the X's and O's part of it so much. In terms of her ability to motivate and to conceptualize the game, it comes very naturally to her. She's a great tactician, which, again, I think people underestimate about her. I don't think people realize how savvy she really is in her ability to think through the game and to see what's happening on the ice and adjust accordingly. So in that respect, it's really exciting, and I'm very honored that she is the head coach of our team. It's going to be a fun season for sure, and I think fans especially will enjoy watching what she's able to do with this team.
Do you have any returning players?
Sure, I definitely think that there'll be a number of returners. I don't know exactly at this point. So the way that the NWHL has worked, at least up until now, and will continue to work through this season, from my understanding, is that it's just single year contracts for the players. So there's no multi-year deals. So what's typically happens is that when the season ends, there's a restricted signing period, where for probably the first month to 2 months, if not longer, of the off season is a restricted free agency period where only the Beauts can re-sign Beauts players from the most recent season's team, and vice versa for all the other teams. I can't go and try to sign a player from Connecticut or try to sign a player from Boston, and they can't go and try to sign any of the Beauts. You can only re-sign players from your own team during that restricted period. So obviously, we want to keep as much of the team as possible intact. We do need to make some changes, and I anticipate some changes. And the other thing is too, which is, it's just where things are with women's hockey right now, is that unfortunately they're not paid a salary that allows them to do hockey as their full-time job, and have that be their only way of earning a living and investing their entire career into playing hockey. We're just not at that point right now. So many of the players do have other jobs. Some of them have multiple jobs outside of playing hockey. And what can happen is that a player might get a transfer, might get a job promotion, or they decide they want to go back to school, they want to go to graduate school. So there's a lot of responsibilities and different situations that maybe pull them in different directions than what other athletes, male athletes, would have to be concerned about. So that certainly plays a factor from season to season. There's very few players left in the league right now that are original and NWHLers and have played through the league through all 6 seasons. There are none on the Beauts presently right now, and there's only a handful, you count them on one hand, that are left in the league. We do have some long-term players. One of them being Lisa Chesson, who's our oldest player on the team. She's an Olympic silver medalist. She won a silver medal with Team USA at the 2010 Vancouver Games, but she'll be turning 35 in August. And she's been, if we end up bringing Lisa back, it will end up being her fifth season. She's done 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19. Yeah, it'll end up being her fifth season in the league. There's only two of the first or the of the first six seasons that she did not play in. If she comes back, she'll be back for her fifth. So, there's definitely some players there with some longevity to it. Taylor Kersey, our team captain, is another one of those players. She's played every season since the 2017-18 season with the Beauts, and uh, it's players like that that's I love that part of it, that have been around for a while. They've really set the standard for what the Beauts are all about, and are so important for welcoming any new players in, and showing them the ropes. So we'll definitely have some returners for sure. Who those returners will be, or how many of them, I can't say that for sure right now, because I don't know, but they'll definitely, when the season gets underway, when the probably in October, you'll definitely be seeing some familiar faces for sure.
Um, do you have any questions?
I don't think so at this time, Robbie. I appreciate you asking me and having me on the show. It's always great to talk hockey with you, and talk about the Buffalo Beauts in particular. I think one thing I'll be looking forward to is that we should have more of a normal season this time around, and hopefully we can get some fans out to our games. And we'd love to have you out, and have a chance to take in a game in person. So hopefully things continue to get better with the pandemic, and we can see each other in person sometime soon.
Thank you for watching this episode of Let's Talk Someone Six Sports. Thank you to my guest, Nate Oliver, and have a good day.
You too, Robbie. Thank you.